Welcome to episode 2 of Pokemon, and you know, it's Big Boy Bird here, back again with some spicy mons, and I was going through my sub box today, and you wouldn't believe it, Olivia Sama, followed up from Joey PokeMMD's discussion on Salamence being banned from UU. What's the implications of the tier? I was watching Joey Pokemon, number 7 on the ladder, Amper Bomb King, and I thought to myself, it didn't really do Salamence justice. I thought, if you're going to talk about the big boy himself. Now, for those of you who don't know what Salamence is, it is the pseudo-legendary from the Hoenn region. I don't even remember if any big trainers use Salamence besides big old Drake. And, he's got a few hit songs out, but, he, in his spare time, he just wants to chill with his Salamences. I think from memory as well, he follows a theme of just... people that could realistically replace my dad in my life in the world of Pokemon anime. We, having these big, tough dragons. Lance had Dragonite in Gen 2, but, Dragonite wasn't a thing in Gen 2. Gen 3, Hoenn comes out, and we're popping with the big boy Salamence. He's one of the hardest Pokemon to get. You need Waterfall to get access to Bagon late game. It's very, very hard to get. It's one of my favorite Pokemon to catch out of that Meteorite Falls because we want the big boys. Pseudo-legendaries mean one thing. Big base stats, and they're effectively going to dominate any metagame that they get given based off base stats alone. Provided unless it's one of those unviable Pokemon like Dragapult, which I think if you want to watch someone talk about Dragapult for 10 minutes, definitely watch my boy Matt O'Shea. He talks about how it can be used in draft and OU, but to me, Salamence is one of these mons that if you don't know what it does, it's pretty much 6-0 Rizzy Power in about 6 turns. It's a Pokemon that's come through this cult-like following from people like BKC talking about the infamous CTC Gen 5 game with Spexments, where I definitely got the idea to look into Ments originally. Salamence has one thing that a lot of other dragons don't seem to have in BDSP, and that is their move pool. Now, Salamence has 2 really interesting moves that it gets, one by TM, which is never really lost, being Flamethrower, and the other one being Hydro Pump, which is a negative move. Now, I don't know about breeding mechanics, but all I know is that the couple at the daycare center, they definitely get off watching your Pokemon breed. They're 2 old people that just love it. It's like, those people, in the park, I think the UK call it dogging, they just love seeing it, young love, I don't know how Hydro Pump comes down to Salamence. I just know it comes out of its mouth and it drops things. Now, in UU, for example, the bulky grounds were mainly your Quagsires that ran unaware, so you could hit it with, Hydro Pump. Traditionally, in singles formats that are competitive, Quagsire is running, more of that unaware ability, which is really good for Salamence. Salamence comes in, clicks double Draco, goes, thank you for your time. Flamethrower is really nice as well, and Dragon Pulse. Now, people probably would say, how do you pair it? Now, my pal Randy, he's been out here, he's been grinding Pokemon, and he told me that, Salamence is his Pokemon that, Specs is great, but you need to pair it with something big. And, he likes them thick, he likes them chunky. When he watched Madagascar, he just wanted Molto coming out of that water, big boy here, Powdon. And that's something that I really like pairing with the Salamence. You need that bulkiness. In UU, for example, the U-turn and Volt switches that were available are not as good as they are in OU. In OU in particular, we have the King Infernape, we have, King Sizzle. Those 2 Pokemon really make that tier. But in UU, we didn't have that. Also, as well, Joey Pokemon thinks Granbull is a great answer to Ments, right? Wrong. When it comes into the spec set, ooh, we're going to cook something. A bit of Flamethrower. Now, Dragon Pulse is a move that I liked having because I don't always know that my opponent's going to go into unaware Pokemon. And, Dragon Pulse does just the same, realistically. And I think with Salamence in UU in particular, there's no real good fairies besides maybe Gardevoir and Granbull that you could afford double Dragon move. Cresselia doesn't want to come in on this smoke. It doesn't want to catch it. Cresselia, for the most part, you're looking at these teams, and I'll go over some of the teams later, and the dark types weren't necessarily there for Crest. It was just Crest got so overwhelmed. When you pair Spexments like Roselia, for example, and you get your spikes up, this little hazard chip war is something that the Ments is going to do really well. Also, as well, the jankiness of BDSP speed tiers means that base 100 is really fast. Whereas when you're looking at your modern day things, people are like, Dragapult's pretty fast. 140 something, I don't know, 142. Who cares? It's a Dragapult. It's got nothing on my boy, the Specs King. Now, next up, we have, this is the reason why this dumb thing got banned. We're looking at Choice Scarf Salamence with the Outrage, Dragonclaw, Earthquake, Firefang. Now, Firefang was really only there for some pesky sort of steel types, but they don't really exist in the UU tier. You know, there was this notion, I'd just like to say, that there was, you know, fairies running around, and there was no one catching this smoke from my boy Mence. You know, Outrage, people were running Choice Scarf Mence with their Ditto because they were so scared. Like, this was like playing double-double. You know, unless you have something big boy fat, you know, that has Ice Shard, whether that's your Don fans, you know, or you could even look at your Cleaster, for example. You know, you needed something that wanted to throw hands in the UUs here with Mence. And now, in OU, where I think this will struggle, is that you can't look into Outrages freely because of Sizzle and Heatran. Now, Heatran may not necessarily be a quote-unquote great answer, because if it catches an EQ in the face, it's like, oh, please, not again. But its ability to get up rocks is something that's really appreciated. Also, as well, we have seen some Scarfladdies running around. Now, the Scarfladdie at base 110 speed doesn't mean that it's no longer a speed tie, because some people do want to run that Scarfladdie because it's a great way to catch off that lead in Infernape. You know what I mean? Like, big boy Ape comes in, drops to a Specs, you know, a Scarf Psychic. Why would it be Specs? You would lose that exchange. And, you know, Choice Scarf Salamence is just what it does best. It showed Rizzy Pow the way, like, the future. And that was not playing this game. So that's what you really want to start looking at with these, you know, with these two. Like, their choice lock. Now, if you want someone that wants to, you know, click a move, I personally really liked the DD Hydro Pump Mans. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, Bird, why wouldn't you run Flamethrower? You know, it's not very good against steel types. Now, the reason why I ran Hydro Pump is because of those, like, pesky Hippowdons. You know, when the Hippo boys are running up the ladder, you know you need something for Hippo. You know, and also as well, when you're looking at, like, a DD set, you know, you want the D-Claw, EQ, Hydro Pump. Now, the HP is to optimize so you just are below 340. So you do take a lesser damage of Lifeorb, but you do increase the Stealth Rocks. But it's more so because the way you're thinking about it is you come in the end game. Mence is here. He's fighting. You know, I'd say Mence is here, he's queer, but he doesn't have a pride flag. I don't do customs rides. I'm not Olivia. And, you know, you place it, and it's Hydro Pump. You know, it's going to hit something hard. You know, we want to hit these Pokemon hard. You know, people want to run Iron Tail and Steel Move. Now, in my opinion, in UU in particular, a Steel Move wasn't necessary. Why? You paired it with Magneton. Big boy Magneton, base 70 speed, wanted to hit the Flash Cannon. It wanted that Donphan to come in, hit that Flash Cannon. It wanted, you know, those exchanges in its favor. And so that's why you really want to, you know, you want Hydro Pump, Dragonclaw, Earthquake. You know, these are just the classic moves. You want the classic Mence. Now, if that's not your style, if you want something a little bit more unconventional. Now, in UU, this set didn't really have a place, and the reason for it was that defensive Mence had no place in UU. Now, what people are going to say is, why did it have no place? It's like, well, why would you take your best offensive player and put him in defense? You know, that's like putting Tom Brady at, like, left tackle. You know, you want your big boy Jordan Mataldia there. You want him taking up those Eagles, like, up, I don't know. Wherever the NFL goes, I don't know. Papa John's, maybe. Who knows? But in OU, for example, the defog potential of Mence is so great. It comes in on Scizor, and if Scizor wants to go for BP, Intimidate's a really, really underappreciated ability. Not many Pokemon have the access to it. People like Staraptor. And so what we do is we go for, like, Draco's, you know, Flamethrower, you know, for those pesky steals, because you mainly want to get rid of Scizor. And I think this is probably going to be a set that comes up a little bit more in OU, but it's definitely not my favorite. I think the Specs Mence will definitely be the best. And then next up, we have DD Sub Rouge Dragonance Salamence. Now, this was a set that never really popped off, because when we got it, we came up, you know, I was in the lab, I was with my boy Randy, we were having fun, and we got to the end of end of the format, and we just said, you know, what do people have for Sub DD? And no one had anything. You know, that's the power of something like this bigger boy, you know, Adamant, you know. This is something that you wouldn't see in other tiers, like, unless they had Icicle Spear Cloister, which only the Hippo boys are mad enough to run. You're just not going to see it. So next up, we have, you know, the Haban Salamence. You know, this was when in UU, you know, if you want to play, like, let's play. Let's go offense. Let's go balls to the wall. Like, if this was a game of football, you'd have 10 strikers. This is the way that, like, people think Man City play. Like, 10 players up front. But, boys, they've got, like, Laporte, at the back, Ruben Diaz, Edison. That's not the way to play. This is the way to play. You want the Haban buried and it goes off and people shad themselves. The big boy Ments came into UU and they're like, sweet, Moxie, GG, this is an intimidate Ments, what a weak thing, and whoop! So that was really the extent of Ments in the BDSP tier. And if we look at some of my BDSP UU teams, you'll see a very, very common theme. They all had Salamence. Now, the theme about Salamence that made it so good was that Magneton was able to be UU. Now, Magneton, a lot of people like running Magnet Rise, Flash Cannon. To me, personally, I still think Specs was one of its best sets. And then when you pair it with like a bulky water, for example, in this instance, Blastoise, Rapid Spin Scald, and then it was a Fizz Def set, so you stop your Cloisters, your Hazards, mainly rocks. You could just overwhelm, and I think that's really where Ments went ham. And this one, for example, is that Haban Berry. You also have Gardevoir. I really liked as a wish support, and then when you're pairing Magneton, not just the ability to trap steals, but also to be a fairy killer. That's when the games got interesting. This one here is an Ampipon team with Defog Ments with Wigglytuff and Entei, and Ments again was more so about trying to pair it with Swampert. Because, between the two of them, Grass is the only thing that wants to hit Swampert, Ice is the only thing that wants to hit Ments. You pair the two together, it becomes very, very nice. The next one we had was this Metagross team, which was inspired by BKC, talking about Ments and Metagross and how well they pair together. And you can just see here that the specs and, physical Metagross just really wants to play the game. Gramble can't come in on Metagross because it gets Meteor Mash to the face. And also as well, Ments' Draco and Intimidate, which also helps out. And then, like, for example, on this team, you have Entei, which is also there to, patch over things. So, for example, those steals are not coming in very freely. I think I built this team on the train. That's how easy it was to build with Ments. This is a classic. I also ran Crunch at times for Metagross and Gardevoir, because I thought that they could pair nicely together. Raikou as well was a good Volt Switcher. But again, unless you're running Scarf, it lost HP Ice. That's something there you had to be mindful of. Snorlax as well was really nice. And then this last team also had the DD Submans. This is the last team. We don't get a feature Kabutops, but you get to see what it was. Now, when it comes to OU, for example, I have plenty of Salamences because I love my boy Ments. I have this Jirachi team. I can't use Jirachi for the life of me. Let's see what team I do have. I do have this Specs Ments with Spirit Tomb. Spirit Tomb's kind of cool. Mystic Water on the Manaphy. Let's see which one let's see which team I can have with Ments. If not, let's quickly build one. So I think Specs Ments is the best Ments set for OU. Now again, what you want to be looking to pair it with is going to be your Scizor. Now you can, I think, in all honesty, with Ments, you want to go Clef as well, so we'll be, very, very boring at this stage, and we're going to be going Moonblast, we're going to Moonblast, Stealth Rock, Wish, Protect, and we'll also always go that classic Unaware set. As well, we're going to be careful with Lardy, because Lardy's going to be the main thing that we want to, stop. Because of how annoying it's going to be with our Specs Ments. Again, we'll probably be looking at more Sword Stance on our Scizor, with a, the max 252 Spadef set that we like running. If you haven't seen the King of OU, my Scizor video, then that's something definitely to check out, because, I'm just trying to get those views. So we've got Ments, Scizor, and Clef to begin with. Very, very basic. Now, the next team what I want to have is I want to have Manaphy. I personally really like Manaphy this gen. I think it's very, very good. I think it's very cool. Now, I do get made fun of for running Skill Swap on it, but I still think that Skill Swap's really, really nice for, Clefables. So, again, we're just going to run Leftovers. So we're looking at this now. We're, like, when you're team building, sometimes you want to start thinking, like, what do I have here? So what I look at is I'm like, okay, what I have here is a very, very specially offensive team. So now I want the defense. I want the physical attackers. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, we've got Mamo answers, we've got Gliscor answers, we've got Heat Train answers, we've got Infernape answers. Don't really have a Jirachi answer. You know, we don't really have, you know, a Magnezone answer. We want a ground type. Now, ground is a luxury, in my opinion, in this format, because there's not that many good ones available. You know, like, we're looking and we're like, ooh, dang, what ground can we go for? You know, like, we want something that's going to be able to stop Magnezone. And again, we don't want to pick a ground type that may or may not have a weakness to Flash Cannon. So what we want to do sometimes is just go ground, right? Now, when I'm looking at this, I see Mamo, Gliscor, Garchomp, Donphan, Flygon, Hippowdon, Nidoking. Now, if I go Nidoking, for example, I'm going to pick up on some ice weaknesses, but that's okay in my opinion, because I do have some things. Now, as well, I'm going to be a physical Nidoking, so we want to make sure that when we do this, we're looking at, you know, Poison Jab as one of the moves. Now, T-Spikes is definitely another option. Earthquake would be nice if it was physical. But let's just have a look at his move pool. Actually, we'll probably go special anyway, which is fine. Go Sludge Wave, Earth Power. Again, this is something that, you know, we want to be looking at. Also, as well, what this will allow us to do is now go to a Flamethrower, and we'll probably go Rocks and T-Spikes. But I don't think it's really that important. I'll probably be looking at Ice Beam. So we have this, right? And now we're looking at it, and we're like, okay, so we now have a few offensive checks to Nido. Don't have any physical, you know, real attackers. But that's okay, because what we're going to then do is we're going to look around this and we're like, I need a physical attacker. And I'm thinking at the moment, the best one is going to be Infernape. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, what's the set? You know, surely you're going to go Scarf. And I think, personally, with the amount of people that are now running Laddie with that Choice Scarf, that I think, personally, what we want to be looking at is ways to get around it. Now, I haven't seen a lot of Swords Dance Mons, you know, or because, you know, Shadow Claw is such a weird move to have. But, you know, we could look at, like, the defensive apes. But to me, I still think that, like, Choice Band Infernape can go kind of ham. You know, we'll probably lose to a lot of Scarfers. But, you know, you just got to trust the process. You know, if you're not trusting the process, are you really a Manchester United fan? I think Shadow Claw is kind of nice as well, but I also like Mach Punch here, because I think if you're going to go Banded, you want Mach Punch. And, you know, you're going to be outspeeding Apes. You know, Apes going to be a bit of an annoyance for this team. But again, I think that's the game. So we're going to change my alt name, because I don't want to lose points for Randy. We're going to be the DD Burbtails. It's a classic. Oh. Don't want to put the password in. Actually, should be fine. You can tell how smart I am. Because I thought DD. Oh no, wrong password. Fun times. You know what? Stuff it. We'll pull up. We'll pull up. Wrong OU. We only want the real OU. We'll pull up. And then I'll have to fix the dimensions. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we need to quickly filter this. Oh, that's too much. Ooh, so we're playing Just Laddering. Now, it's a very interesting team here. I think he's just going to lead with the Ditto, personally. So I'm quite cool just to lead with my Ape. You know, as I said, it's Banded. Now, Banded Infernape is interesting. I'm going to put the timer on my opponent because I'm scum. You know, hate to see it. Well, hang on, maybe I should... Let's see if I can make it smaller. Let's see how that affects it. Oh, that's so much. back in the day when I used to ladder with my boy Noobs, you know, he's been, well, we used to like have all the dimensions. Okay, so we're gonna predict this as Scarf. We're gonna go straight into Sizzle. Surf is fine. I'm gonna U-turn here. If he wants to go into Ape, Gliscor. 295. Does not have the best Ice Beam switchings. Yeah, I think we're just gonna drop an Ice Beam. Go Clef here, just in case he wants to click Draco. Don't really want Sizzle to take a T-Bolt. Interesting. I'm gonna Wish you. He's gonna go for a Poison move this turn. Oh, that's annoying. Let's go for an Earth Power. Yeah, let's go for an Earth Power. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Say goodbye. Laddie comes in. Do we have Defog on this team? No. It's okay. We're going to go into Sizzle here. Surf is fine. We're just going to click U-turn. We only have like one more switch into this, but that's fine as well. Because now what we can do is we can definitely just go for our rocks this turn. Because they should be switching out into Laddie. But then again, I think if I'm going to predict Laddie, I think I'm just going to click Ice Beam this turn. Yeah, perfect. Now, that's the read you want to make. Now, he didn't understand that my Nido King is a Nido King. I think he's going to go for maybe Earth Power this turn. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, well, what is my... Because if he clicks Ice Beam, I don't want Mence to drop because Mence is pretty cool here. I think I'll just go... Sizzle's honestly a sack here. That's not very effective. Nice. We'll just U-turn. Okay, perfect. Go into Mence here. Because he should predict Earthquake. He's so far in the back. Oh, never mind. He wants to give me some pump damage. Pump it louder, pump it louder. Turn up the radio. That's the stereo right now. I think I'm going to Hydro Pump again. He has to protect. Perfect. We go into Nido here. Interesting. What do you think, Watson? I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna predict and go to Clef here. Actually, Earth Power. Interesting. We're now gonna go Mence, and we're gonna click Specs Hydro again. Now we're gonna click it again. If we hit, we kill this Clef, and we're gonna win the game. That's the ball game, folks. I think he's gonna Draco. So I'm just gonna go Clef here. I know my set. I know the boy. He puts in the work. Yeah, Hydro is nothing. Now he's going to Manaphy here. Manaphy's looking fun. I'm going to click Tail Glow. Actually, no. Ooh. Yes, we do, because we want to skill swap this. Can we skill swap, please? I want to skill swap. I want Unaware. Can I please have Unaware? So when your Ditto comes in, he cannot, like, smack me. Perfect. Thank you for Unaware. You gave me your ability. And then we still have the Banded Ape in the back that can click CC. Alright, we're gonna go into Big Boy Ape here. I'm gonna click the U-turn. Nice. And now we just go into this. And another Hydro. So this is what I mean, like, this is where the nuance of Hydro Pump has come in very handy for this battle. I'm gonna sack Sizzle here. I tried. I really tried. Mach Punch should win. But yeah, like, that's how you can see, like, Specs Mence just went brazy this game, and it, you know, it comes from just seeing what your options are. It's always important, I think, like this game, you know, we saw a very nice prediction with Nido King, as well. Lamau. Spexments, what you good? That person was 1565. Let's just, whoa. Like, let's just show people. Bad game. Can you, like... Oh, maybe I can't. How do I do it? What do I see? Nah, that's not encouraging. Yeah, the Hippo Boys, we pulled up. Alright guys, if you like this video and like some of the men's suggested sets, please let me know, because, you know, people are sleeping on it. It's a giant, it's a pseudo, and if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, to the end of this, make sure to write in the comments, Spexments is best. Vote 1, vote Spexments, and this is Clive Palmer signing out.